Thank you, and all take seats. On behalf of the King family, I want to personally thank each and every one of you for coming out and joining us this afternoon. So over the course of the next hour and a half, we're going to go through a wave of emotions. We're going to have some tears, and I know we're going to have some laughter. And one thing that I'd ask each of you to do, as these brave men and women get up here today to recount the amazing individual that Matt King was, that you feel comfortable in affirming those words in applause, because that is the strength that we need to get us all through what we're about to do today. So again, on behalf of the family, Audrey, Kira, and Aiden, we thank all of you for joining us. On behalf of the men and women of Bernalillo County Fire and Rescue, we thank you. And on behalf of the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department, we thank you. At this time, it is my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker this afternoon, Julie Morgus-Baca, our county manager.
I was looking at my watch. I think it's almost afternoon. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julie Morgus-Baca, and I'm the county manager. Audrey, Aiden, Kara, on behalf of the County Commission. Is it Kira or is it Kyra? Okay, Kyra. On behalf of the County Commission, elected officials, and all our county employees, I want to express our deepest condolences to you all. Our hearts are with you and have been there the past couple of weeks. Also, I know that we lost a wonderful person, friend, father, husband, cousin, whatever we're going to call him. Wonderful, wonderful human being. On July 16th, that's the night that all of us in this room will never forget for the rest of our lives. Our hearts were broken when we lost 4 of our very best. It's truly an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to speak to you about one of our best, Matt King. Matt was one of the most, as I know all of you know, one of the most genuine and kind people on this earth. He made everyone's day better. I had the pleasure of meeting Matt and knowing him a little bit more during COVID. I would go into the office at the atrium where he was. He was always welcoming. Whenever I walked in the building, he was always welcoming. And he always had a kind word and a hug and that beautiful smile that I'll never forget. He had the energy and spirit unlike anybody else. People trusted him, wanted to learn from him, and they really felt safe with him. Matt was the best example of a firefighter, EMT, and paramedic. He possessed the characteristics of what a true public servant was, with his compassion, his unconditional understanding. He was fearless, we all know. And he also had the belief that everybody he came across deserves love and respect. And I'm going to tell you, as I stand here, I feel the love, I feel the friendship, and I feel the outpouring of support from all of you. And so I hope that his family, we can give you a little bit of comfort in knowing that. So obviously, I never worked directly with Matt. I wasn't on the field with him. So I reached out to a friend of his, and we were reminiscing about Matt. And he had a coworker and a friend that I know was very fond of him, and he was very fond of as well. He was his mentor. He told me that he wished that that he was capable of giving the compassion and love that Matt gave to others. He looked forward to working with him because he knew that he would be laughing and smiling most of his shift. He always counted on walking into the firehouse and getting that classic Matt King hug. And I think we can all, most of us that knew him can attest to that. He had the best, most sincerest hug. He witnessed his genuine heart and spirit when it came to public service and friendship. He told me that Matt could show up on the worst day of someone's life and make them feel totally safe and at ease and comforted. It didn't matter who Matt came across, whether it was somebody homeless or drunk on the bus at the bus stop. Matt had his way of lifting them up and giving him, again, that classic Matt King hug. He had the ability to listen to someone's pain and sorrow with laughter and with friendship. He loved his family more than anything. He would talk about how absolutely stunning his wife Audrey was and how proud he was of her and her accomplishments and how he loved his son and his daughter to no end. It was very obvious, and you could feel his love for them every time he talked about his family. Audrey, I want to thank you for sharing him with us, and please know that Matt's Bernalillo County family is here to support you and your family as well. As we all know, it's never going to be the same. There will forever be a void within the department, the city, the county, our entire state. Matt will never be forgotten, and his amazing legacy will live on forever in our hearts. Thank you all so much. Take care of each other, appreciate each other, because we know how precious life is. Again, I just want to thank you for being here. Be safe, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Julie, and I've got to tell you, she has been right by our side from day one. So thank you, Julie, on behalf of the entire department and the family. It's my distinct honor to welcome our next guest, the governor of our great state of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham.
On behalf of the people of New Mexico, I'm here to honor the life and the service of Bernalillo County Fire and Rescue Specialist, Lieutenant Matthew King. I stand here alongside everyone gathered here today to express my deepest sympathy to his family, his wife Audrey, his son Aiden, his daughter Kyra, and his parents Jim and Sherry King. I also offer my condolences to his colleagues at the Bernalillo County Fire Department who have suffered the terrible loss of one of their own. Lieutenant King, as we have heard, was a caring, loving husband, remarkable father, respected teacher and trainer, devoted paramedic, and dedicated fireman. Over 20 years ago, I was incredibly proud to attend his Bernalillo County Fire Department graduation, where he entered a distinguished life of service to his fellow New Mexicans. That service can be attested to by all of those he inspired and trained, and those he came into direct contact when he was called to aid and support them. His wife Audrey said it best for all those who knew him, all those who worked beside him, and all those whose lives he saved in his 2-decade career. Matthew was always proud that he was able to take care of others and help them on what is often the worst day of their lives. We lost 4 heroes who served together in the Metro Air Support Unit on July 16th. Lieutenant King, Under Sheriff Larry Curran, Deputy Michael Levinson, and Lieutenant Fred Beers. Like all of our first responders, they answered the call to help, assisting firefighters on the East Mesa fire. With courage, bravery, and devotion to duty, they always answered the call. They do what they do. That's who they are. Our dedicated first responders, firefighters, police, and EMS heroes put their lives on the line day in and day out without any hesitation. We'll never be able to thank them or their families enough, but we pledge today and every day to never forget their sacrifice and to assure that we do everything every day in our personal and professional lives to both honor and to remember their incredible sacrifice. Thank you. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Governor. And again, we couldn't thank the Governor. Sorry about that. We can't thank the Governor enough for her unwavering support of us during this time of tragedy. So thank you very much, Governor. Again, now my distinct honor to invite to the podium Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez to give a few words.
Good morning y buenos días le de Dios. I would like to thank Lieutenant Matthew King's family for allowing me to speak today. I am honored and grateful to his parents, his wife Audrey, and their children Aiden and Kira. I am awed by your grace. I am in awe of your strength as you confront the loss of your loving father, your beloved husband, your cherished son. I also want to thank Chief Greg Perez, all of Matt's colleagues from Bernalillo County and all over the state who were here or out in the field. I know the first responder community is a familia, it is a family, and this loss of the beloved brother in service must be so painful. Your grief is shared by our state. When I learned of this devastating loss of Matt and his colleagues on July 16th near Las Vegas, I was reminded of the quote, "Service is the presence of love manifested in man." Service is fundamentally an act of love, an act of selflessness. Being here with Matt's family and friends and colleagues, I feel that love. I feel that selflessness. An act of selflessness was what Matt had. He acted with love of family, with love of community, with love of our gente that made his work more than a job. It was a calling. There may be no greater way to honor someone than what his brother Brian said about Matt. Matt just always wanted to help people. Should we all strive for that? To feel so deeply about the world and the people who live in it that you dedicate your life to make it a better place so that your every instinct is to help and protect others. That is love personified. It is stories like Matt's that give me enduring faith in the spirit and the resiliency of our community. Finally, as we've heard, Matt talked to 911 operators for more than 30 minutes trying to get help to the crash site So faithful was he to his scenes of duty that he spent his final moments in an act of selflessness, thinking of saving others. Finally, I would like to bring here to this hall, which we have made hallowed by being here, the words that I have seen painted on barns, placed on homemade signs along the road, and uttered to each other over and over again. What people have written on their walls in the places where smoke filled the air for months and the red of the flames glowed in the night, what they said is, "Thank you, firefighters. Thank you, men and women. Thank you, National Guard, hotshots, sheriffs, and deputies. There were tens of thousands of men and women who fought our fires, who are fighting our fires. There are tens of thousands of thank yous that we must say. Thank you, firefighters." I didn't know Matt personally, but his life had a profound impact on mine and on the communities I serve. As you know, I represent Congressional District 3, which includes San Miguel and Mora counties. I grew up on the east side of the Sangre de Cristos. Las Vegas and the surrounding area is where I and so many of us spent our youth, among the beauty of the land. That is how our childhood memories are bookmarked. Over the last 4 months, we have seen our communities devastated by fire and the landscapes that we once knew washed away by flood. And these once beautiful lands coming back from a fire is where we lost Matt and his colleagues, Under Sheriff Larry Cohen, Lieutenant Fred Beers, and Deputy Michael Levison. Each of these selflessly answered the call to protect the land, the people, and the homes so far away from their own. I am devastated by the loss of these men, but inspired by their service and their sacrifice. In this sea of grief that we all find ourselves in today, let's remember that they will not be forgotten up north where they breathed their last breath. The places they protected will hold their love, and it will whisper, their love will whisper in our ears as the breezes flow through the plains and in the mountain valleys. I will listen for it and smile and perhaps cry as it washes over me. May his memory be a blessing. May Matt's service be an inspiration of love and action for us all to remember. Thank you. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez. Next, I'd like to invite Sheriff Manny Gonzalez to the stage.
Good afternoon. I'm Sheriff Manny Gonzalez III. On behalf of the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, I'd like to offer our deepest condolences to Matt's beautiful bride, Audra, and his 2 beautiful children, Aiden and Kira. We knew Matt, we all knew Matt a little bit different, and I'll tell you what I knew about Matt. I knew what he valued and believed in, and that was a relationship. Matt valued the relationship and he mastered it. And that's why his personality was so magnetic. For all of us that had the opportunity to work alongside with him and interact with him, every time I ran into Matt, he gave me a hug. But I had to remind him, I said, "Please, brother, love the hugs, but no kisses." And that's how affectionate Matt was. He was an awesome individual. I know his brothers are torn. I know that Matt was one of the 6 original members that started the rescue specialist. And I think all his colleagues had the utmost respect for Matt, because Matt was a person that put everything into his job and his work. He was truly intellectual. And he was arguably probably the top instructor and mentor for the Bernalillo County Fire Department. And so there'll be a great void with him being gone. But he wouldn't want you to be sad. He would want you to remember in a positive light, because that's who Matt was. And I know we're all hurting, but there's so many good things to remember about Matt. And to me, it's not a story about a rescue. It wasn't a story about firefighting. It was a story a friend shared with me about Matt, talking about how authentic and his true character. And so Matt, not realizing, he sold a travel trailer to one of my friends. Matt sold that trailer, and then my friend asking Matt, well, we need to get this thing serviced. Him not knowing Matt, he thought Matt was going to probably never answer the call, never return his call. He thought he'd call him or maybe gave him the wrong phone number. But the day my friend called him to service that trailer, Matt answered the call. And he said, my friend asked him, he goes, when do you have time? He goes, I have time right now. And so Matt took all his equipment, his compressor, everything that he needed to service that trailer, because Matt was a man of his word. And Matt was the real deal. He was authentic. And this is what we need to remember, is now Matt's gone, and now we need to answer the call and be there for his family. Because just like Matt turned that over to him, he didn't leave my friend hanging. He was there for them. And so that being said, what Matt will take away and leave us with is the acts of laughter and joy that he left behind, the acts of love and the acts of service, and the ultimate act of sacrifice in his life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Gonzalez, and it has been a true joy to see our two departments partner together as they have with the Masu service. The number of lives that have been saved through that endeavor are countless. So thank you, Sheriff, and the Masu team in total. Next, I'd like to bring up to the stage my Deputy Chief and one of the two right hands that I have, and that is Deputy Chief Zach Lardy.
Thank you, Chief. I really wish Matt could see what I see today. Only then he might comprehend the profound impact that he's had on the lives of so many of us. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had some time to reflect on the impact that Matt had on my life and the lives of so many of his friends, so many of you. Over the 17 years I've known Matt, I've known him to continually improve those around him. He encouraged each of us to be the best versions of ourselves, even when sometimes we were not inclined to do so on our own. From his interaction with and ongoing mentorship of the cadets in the Fire Academy, his appreciation for the professional development of BCFD personnel, to his own family. Talking recently to one of the BCFD firefighters that Matt helped mentor, I realized why this was the case. We were all afraid of disappointing Matt. I was afraid of that as his supervisor when I supervised him years ago. The cadets were more afraid of that than they were the towers they would have to run or the push-ups that they would have to do as a result of a mistake. It takes a very large personality to have that impact on firefighters. Matt had that impact, and I'm not sure that he knew. I've asked myself what drives someone like Matt to be that kind of person, as surely there was a cost for all that he did for all of us. I think this question may be answered in his first application for a fire service position that he submitted in 2000 to the village of Corrales to be a volunteer firefighter. In his application, his stated reason for applying was because, and I quote, "It is my lifelong goal to become a firefighter paramedic. I will work hard and do whatever is necessary to achieve that goal." Well, I'd say he met his lifelong goal and then some. He was never satisfied with achievements of his own, and he always wanted to bring others along with him. It's worth noting one of Matt's greatest professional accomplishments during his time with Bernalillo County. Sheriff Gonzalez touched on this a minute ago, but Matt was one of the original 6 personnel carefully selected in 2014 to help develop a helicopter-based rescue program in a first-of-its-kind collaboration between Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office and Bernalillo County Fire Department. The team was appropriately labeled the Metro Air Support Unit, or MASU for short. The aircraft they primarily used for rescue and firefighting missions was Metro II, a Vietnam-era Huey. This aircraft was especially important to Matt because it originated as part of the Hawaiian National Guard. Hawaii has long been one of Matt's favorite destinations. Participation in this developing program was entirely voluntary. It's not surprising that Matt would volunteer. I remember having conversations with him about how proud he was to serve our community under this new special operations mission. Matt brought his experience as an EMS instructor to his participation in the program in an effort to continually improve the level of care that they could provide. It wasn't enough for him to just act as a rescue specialist, the term we use for the paramedic assigned to the aircraft. He was one of only a few personnel who trained as a system operator on the hoist rescue system to ensure he maximized his value to the team and was able to answer the call in more than one capacity if needed. One of the unique aspects of my relationship with Matt, well, beside the fact that he constantly made me shake my head with his colorful and maybe less than appropriate comments, was our mutual appreciation for data. He would want me to share that the MASU program that he played such an important role in developing has responded over 400 times since the partnership began, impacting the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of New Mexicans. In the fire service, we have a lot of traditions, one of which is referring to each other as brothers and sisters. We do this because of the bond that it takes to do the job. It is our shared experiences that bind us together. And sometimes those experiences involve tragedy. Matt took the meaning of the terms brother and sister to a whole new level, sometimes uncomfortably so. I think he did this because of his deep love for all of us, something that I'll talk more about in a minute. I, along with many of you here today, lost a brother in the truest sense of the word 2 weeks ago. When it comes to being a brother, Matt was one of the best amongst us. Sherry and Jim, thank you for teaching him to be the brother that would set the example for us all. I suppose for most of us it could be argued we have a finite amount of love, and that love must be divided amongst the people that we care most about. For whatever reason though, Matt didn't operate that way. For him, division was the wrong equation. He couldn't divide his love. He used a different equation altogether in his relationships, one that somehow multiplied his love. The more he gave, the more he seemed to have to give. Matt was fiercely committed to his family. Audrey, I know he loved you more than any words could possibly express. And I know he didn't hesitate to tell you in his own special ways. Our hearts are broken watching you cope with this unimaginable loss. Aiden and Kyra, your dad obsessively talked about how proud of both of you he was. Our only solace is that his personality and the essence of who he was will live on in both of you every day. Audrey, Aiden, Kyra, know this. Our family is your family. Bernalillo County Fire will always be here for you. Family is important to us in the public safety community. It acts as our foundation, helps us establish our value system, and it sees us through the good times and the bad ones. To the King family, from the bottom of my heart and the heart of all those in the public safety community with whom Matt so selflessly and faithfully served, thank you for sharing him with our family.
Thank you so much, Deputy Chief Lardy. At this time, I'd like to recognize, or actually bring up to the podium, Joe Martin, who's captain for the Kylene Fire Department, but more importantly, a former Village of Los Ranchos firefighter. Those of you who didn't know, Matt spent some time with the Village of Los Ranchos, and it was actually his first paid gig, as they call it. And I had the opportunity to hire him. That was probably the second time, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But at this time, I'd like to bring up a friend who he made while during that time of service with the Village of Los Ranchos, Joe Martin.
I had the privilege of calling Matt my friend for about 15 years. I think what's really remarkable about that is about 10 of it was long distance. But that was Matt. He maintained relationships. I wasn't special with that. I think he did that for every single one of us. We had countless texts, phone calls, coffee dates, visits. He would call my brother and plan surprise visits out to us. After we moved away, him and Audrey would go to dinner with my folks. My dad said he would hug him every time, and he said the hugs were fine, but he always tried to kiss me too. He said, finally I said, all right, you want to kiss me? Get after it and kiss me. He was the calibration to my moral compass. He answered questions from me all the time, some like, am I doing this right? Or how should I handle this situation? He helped me out with medical scenarios, interpreting 12 leads, and sometimes just something simple like, does this mole look weird? He was incredibly humble. He would have hated us making such a fuss over him, but I can't think of a better way or a more beautiful way to honor his life, or a better way for all of us to come to grip with this devastating blow. Speaking of the village, I remember the first time I met him, the exact moment I met him. I was exiting the restroom, he was entering, and he flung open the door, and I mean flung open the door, right into my head, face. He kind of let out this weird scream and yelled, I'm sorry, and ran away. I then found him out in the bay. We met eyes. He kind of laughed, walked over, and we shook hands. He said, I'm Matt King. Damn good to meet you. So there's proof that really great friendships can start in really weird places. While we worked together, I noticed how Matt carried himself. He was extremely knowledgeable and efficient with skills, but it was his compassion that set him apart from everyone else. He definitely treated everyone with the golden rule, always treating people with dignity, because Matt was the type of person who did what he believed was right because it was right, even when no one was looking. He was a solid partner, whether on a suppression truck or on an ambulance. He was the kind of partner that when calls got tough, any one of us could look at him and think, I am really glad he's here with me. And in my book, that's about as good a compliment as any firefighter or paramedic could get. His compassion was not just applied to his patient care, but the way he treated all who he loved. He loved Audrey, Aiden, and Kyra fiercely, always telling me stories about them. Probably the most frequent were your bike rides, and he would send pictures of me, of y'all standing in front of your favorite rock up in the foothills. He made sure everyone he loved knew that they were loved. One of my favorite of Matt's characteristics was his charisma. He would walk into a room and find a way to connect with anyone. He had a way of making you feel like you were important to him in every single interaction. He knew how to read any situation and knew when to give support, comic relief, inappropriate jokes, probably some more inappropriate jokes, a push to be better, or just silent support. There's no way that we will ever know how many people Matt touched or how many people are still alive because of Matt's actions. Matt lived his life admirably, always helping others, trying to better himself or those around him. He made time for everyone and maintained every relationship he ever had. Matt definitely found his calling, making lives better. I've been thinking a lot the last week and a half or so about how am I going to move on from here? How are we going to move on from here? The only thing I can come up with is we carry on his memory by living the way he did. We earned the privilege of living on after Matt and his crew's sacrifice. We love our family and friends. We become experts at our professions. We make sure our skills are proficient, but more so, we pass on Matt's lessons, stories, and antics. We take care of each other because that's what Matt did. He took care of all of us. If we can do that, if we can carry on, if we can pay forward our experiences with Matt, then his memory will truly live on forever. Thank you, Matt, for providing the example of how to be a better father, husband, friend, paramedic, and firefighter. I love you, friend. We're all going to miss you.
Thank you so much, Joe. At this time, I'd like to bring up Josh Ellis, Division Chief of Training. Josh had an important role in the last 2 weeks. We had assigned Josh to the family, and he has been the family liaison and by Audrey and the kids' side from the very moment we learned of this tragic event. So Josh, thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and I know I say that for Audrey and the kids as well, but Josh has been there with them from the very moment, and he'll remain there until Audrey gives us the all clear. Josh, welcome to the stage.
So I had the honor and privilege to work with Matt for the past 3 years in the training division. I've known Matt for over 20 years, first meeting when we both worked at Albuquerque Ambulance together, and then reconnecting in 2011 when he joined BCFD. Well, the past 3 years, I've been Matt's chief. First and foremost, he was a friend. Some of the traits that all of us loved about Matt were he loved his family. Audrey, Kyra, and Aiden, you were his world. He was a fantastic instructor, passionate about his work, committed to his craft, and admired by so many cadets and trainers who had the privilege to work with him. His sense of humor was one of a kind. Anyone who had been around Matt for 5 minutes knew he loved cracking jokes and making people smile. Visiting with his family this past couple weeks, I learned he would stop by Palaco's barbershop just to tell them a dad joke he recently found just for fun, haircut needed or not. Finally, he was an amazing mentor to many of the people here today, including me. Not just on fires, but in living a good life. He showed us how to do it better. Matt enjoyed meeting people and often made friends everywhere he went. In the last 2 weeks, I've enjoyed learning about the conversations and amazing connections he's had throughout his life. Audrey shared a song with me when I first went over to Matt's house 2 weeks ago by an artist named Stick Figure. The song is called Smiles on Faces. Every time I hear this song, I think of Matt and smile because that's what Matt would do every day. In the past 3 years, I've had the pleasure to work closely with Matt as an instructor for 3 fire academies, 2020, 2021, and 2022. He mentored and trained over 50 cadets to become firefighters in Bernalillo County. During the Cadet Academy, we used to tease Matt about how he interacted with the cadets. He wouldn't yell at them or make them run towers or push-ups, as Chief Lardy said. Instead, he was the disappointed dad, which oftentimes is a lot worse than getting yelled at. Matt would also take it personal every time a cadet failed a test or was let go from the academy. He often reflected on situations and worked hard to ensure every cadet reached their full potential, the sign of a true professional. Matt loved being a firefighter, but his true passion was being a paramedic. He believed everyone deserved to be treated with compassion and respect. I remember one day at the academy, it was about 5:30 or so, we were getting ready to get off and go home, and a lady walked up to the academy door. Matt greeted her. This particular person was looking for a restroom, and in talking with the lady, Matt determined that she was homeless and needed to catch a bus to the West Side shelter. The bus left from downtown. He knew she might miss the bus to the shelter, and he could not risk letting this person sleep outside for the night. So he put her in his car and he drove her to the West Side shelter 30 miles away. That's the kind of person Matt was. Another example of compassion and grace was shared with me by Audrey the other day by one of the cadets that he had helped train. The cadet shared, and I quote, "The nicest thing I ever saw a firefighter do when I was on a call with Albuquerque Ambulance. My partner and I responded to a call for a lady who was having trouble breathing. While we were inside her house, Matt held her hand and helped move her to our bed. He never let go. He held her hand all the way into the truck, all the way from the Paseo and Tramway area, all the way to Loveless downtown. He held her hand as we took her out of the truck and inside the hospital. He held her hand until they intubated her and she was unconscious. It was the nicest thing I ever saw a firefighter do. I knew who he was just because everyone loved him and my partner knew him. I don't think he knew who I was yet, but his compassion was just unmatched. I got to tell him during the academy about that call because I thought about it, and I'm forever grateful that he got to hear it, because it would hurt so bad if I never got to tell him how amazing he was on that call. In addition to sympathy and compassion, Matt was one of the most productive people I've ever met. Matt made our jobs easy at the academy. We would often laugh about the fact that he could send 3 text messages and 2 emails, often reminding us what needs to be done that day while we're working out, either running or lifting weights. I don't know how he did it, guys. It's amazing. But he was able to do that, and he kept us on track. Finally, I'd like to read a quote to you. There are some that bring a light so great to the world that even after they're gone, the light remains. Audrey, Kyra, Aiden, Jim, Sherry, Matt loved you guys all so much, and his loss has left a huge hole in our community and the lives of everyone here today. Thank you for sharing Matt with us and allowing him to touch each and every one of us as only Matt could. His light will shine on forever in our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Ellis. Next up, I'd like to invite Miguel Tidman, who is the president of the local 244 IAFF.
This tragedy, this crash that has taken our brother from us, taken from his family too soon, has devastated our community and devastated our fire family to its core. This family of firefighters has shared most of our lives together, work holidays together, celebrate birthdays together, share sorrow, perform miracles together. This loss has changed the fabric of our fire service family here in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County forever. My name is Miguel Tidman, and I represent the rank and file sworn firefighters that I speak of. The more than 900 firefighters that protect this community, the more than 2,000 firefighters that protect this state, and the upwards of 330,000 firefighters that make up the International Association of Firefighters across North America. Our pain and our grief from this loss are so profound for this reason. We lost our best. Lieutenant Matt King was the example that we all strive to be in a firefighter, the complete package, a testament to his parents. First and foremost, he was an exemplary father and husband. I've heard multiple times in the past 2 weeks that he and Audrey loved hard. There's no better way to love. He was a mentor and a teacher. The foundation of the fire service was built on mentorship, passing on your knowledge and your skills to the firefighters that work under your care. Matt was a respected and tenured fire officer, a beloved instructor in emergency medicine, paramedicine, fire suppression, cadet instruction, and aviation. He used his experience and knowledge to skillfully impart onto younger firefighters a sense of duty and service that is imperative in executing our mission in the fire service. His impact as an instructor and mentor will have a ripple effect that will positively influence generations of firefighters. He was fit, both mind and body. He possessed an instinctive ability to shed any negativity while infecting positivity into his proximity with effortless ease. His sense of humor was infectious, and his emotional intelligence was expert level. Matt always seemed to say the right thing in the right moment to calm or diffuse or inspire a room, usually humorous things, sometimes borderline inappropriate things that always seemed to invite lots of laughter. He was a living embodiment of leadership, speaking with the purpose when appropriate, recognizing when listening was necessary, always keeping his environment positive with his infectious attitude and leading by example. His presence and the ability to make you feel like you were important, like you were needed, and that he supported you as he shared your mission. I will cherish our most recent time and the last time that I shared with Matt and Audrey at the recent 2022 cadet class graduation banquet, when I purposely sat next to them so that I could express to them how appreciative I was for his leadership and instruction and her sacrifice, as I know how much energy Matt put into his instructor role. I hope to inspire further commitments and excellence in leadership as he was soon to be promoted to captain. Instead, I went home that night inspired to be my best self, simply by Matt's words and presence. And I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to. It's just how he was. Simply put, he made people around him better. Though we will forever grieve the loss of our brother and attempt to navigate the hole that has been left by his absence, we remain grateful. Grateful we were able to share with him time, share experiences, share this job, and share this life. Grateful that we were able to absorb the example that he was so that we can use these lessons to better ourselves and improve our collective service to our community. Grateful we were able to share significant life events with him, Audrey, Aiden, and Kyra. Grateful we were able to witness how he quietly prioritized family, work, and life in a way that seemed effortless. Yet those of us with families that serve know is one of the most difficult balances to achieve. Everything he touched, he left better than it was. Every agency, every department he worked for, every program he imparted himself on is better than it was after Matt's influence. Every person that he taught, every peer that he worked with is better for knowing Matt. And it seemed like he knew everybody. And the best way we can thank him is by honoring those lessons. Attempt to impart as much positivity as he did. Try to instill foundational mentorship to those under your care. Keep a productive and good attitude in the face of sometimes perilous circumstance. And something we can all do, uniformed or not, is try to leave this place better than we found it, like Matt did. Audrey, Aiden, Kyra, thank you for allowing us to speak here today. We will try our best to give you the space you need to mourn, time and space. Just know that your fire service family will eternally be here for you. And on behalf of the 330,000 firefighters that make up the IAFF and the 900 that make up Lieutenant King's home local 244, we love you, Matt. We thank you for your exemplary service. And we promise to honor your ultimate sacrifice. Rest easy, brother. We'll take it from here.
Thank you so much, President Tidman and the local IFF 244. At this time, I'd like to bring up a family friend, Damian Vandevender, who's a retired senior master sergeant with the United States Air Force, to offer some more words on behalf of Matt. And I don't know if I got that name right. I've heard that it's done numerous different ways. I got Audrey giving me that look down there. I think I was close. So again, Damian, thank you.
All right, so I'm definitely not going to be anywhere near as tough as those guys were through this, so bear with me. So to give you a little bit of backstory, when I was born, I didn't know who my father was. All I knew was I had my Aunt Sherry and Uncle Jimmy, and I had my Uncle Dave, and I had my mom and my cousin Matt. And I called them Aunt Sherry and Uncle Jimmy and cousin Matt because they were close like family. Called them that my whole life. And then about 2 years ago, Matt is the one that broke to me who my father was. Turned out Uncle Dave was actually Dad. And so cousin Matt was really cousin Matt, and Aunt Sherry and Uncle Jimmy were really Aunt Sherry and Uncle Jimmy, cousin Dave, or cousin Brian and Chris. I mean, to grow up that way, not knowing who your father is, can be tough. But I didn't want to make an excuse out of it. I wanted to be better than that in my life. But to find out that people that you loved as family your whole life really were. really were, was a great joy. And for it to be Matt that broke the news was so perfect. Because Matt was my first best friend. We grew up, he was a little bit older than me, so growing up, we were kind of in school together, and everybody would be looking at their new school clothes at the beginning of the year, and they'd get to me and they go, "Hey, isn't that Matt's shirt?" Because I got all his hand-me-downs. I was a little smaller, so I got to wear Matt's shirt, and I kind of wish I still had him. But it was just kind of a big part of me growing up was always having Matt around. And my family moved to West Virginia, and we kind of moved on in life, and I joined the Air Force, and we reconnected here in 2012 when I got the opportunity to be the flight chief of Air Force recruiting for this area. And we really reconnected like we never missed a beat, and we became extremely close with Matt and Audrey and Aiden and Kyra, and we find ways to link up throughout the years, and it's like we never missed a beat along the way. But for some reason, he always told me he admired me, which always blew my mind. Yeah, I spent 22 years in the Air Force, but I had probably the most fortunate Air Force career. I went into recruiting shortly after 9/11 and spent the rest of my career talking to people as a recruiter. And I had a good amount of success with it, but I never really felt like I served the way that a lot of the men and women in this room serve. He for some reason made it seem like my military service was somehow above his service. And I can tell you folks, there is nothing further from the truth. Nothing further from the truth. You see, military, we train 90% of the time. We're not in our deployed mission 90% of the time. There are some people that are, but for the most part, we spend our days stateside getting ready for that deployed mission to go overseas and then have to don the uniform and know that we have to be on our A game at that time. But the folks in this room, you have to do that every single day. You wake up, you kiss your spouse, and you have to be on your A game in your deployed mission every single day. So I look up to you, and I looked up to him tremendously. A lot of people hit some really good points on who Matt King was, and I'm probably going to repeat some of them here. But Matt managed to be something to everybody. Matt was the neighbor that would run over and help you if he sees you lifting something heavy, or the guy that would help you move, even if you had one of those stupid, really heavy hide-a-bed couches. You know what I'm talking about? Like the ones that look innocent, looks like a love seat, kind of flowery. You go to pick it up, and then next thing you know, you need 4 back surgeries. Yeah, he would help you move one of those. Matt was the guy who would bring life to the room and would have everyone laughing within minutes. When Matt decided he wanted to brighten your day, you could see the determination on his face as he was going to do or say anything to make you laugh. And I was often the target of that in my life. Matt was a friend. Matt was the friend that would always seem to check on you at just the right moment to see if you were okay, like he could sense that something wasn't. Matt was a son who was always there for his parents, and he emulates their values and their personality perfectly. Matt was the brother who always had your back and was the perfect partner in crime. Plus, I think Brian realized that if he let Matt join him, he couldn't be a tattletale at the end, so he wouldn't get in trouble. Matt was the devoted husband who not only provided for and supported and loved Audrey, but he worked hard to keep the spark alive between them. Even after 18 years of marriage, he and Audrey were so in love, and that does not happen by accident. Matt was the loving father that helped raise 2 beautiful, intelligent, bright, and just smart, wonderful kids in Aiden and Kyra. Aiden and Kyra, your dad left an example of integrity, hard work, service to others, and how to live your life with joy that I pray you carry with you for the rest of your lives. And as if all that wasn't enough, Matt was a real-life hero down to his core. For over 20 years, he served this amazing city and community as a paramedic and firefighter. Matt was the medic you wanted to show up in your darkest hour. He was incredibly skilled at his craft, but he also truly cared about each and every patient he treated, and was known for making special trips after his duty was over for the day to check on him and offer him some encouragement. Matt was the guy that wouldn't hesitate to run into a burning building and carry you and your loved ones out to safety. If you were lost in the woods, injured, wondering if you would make it home to your family, Matt was the guy rappelling from that helicopter to bring you to safety. And as you've seen and heard today, Matt remained that hero literally until his dying breath. I truly wish that Matt would have been able to live much longer and achieve every goal he had for himself and his family. But my wishes for Matt don't matter because the reality is they're not going to come true. Instead, I intend to focus on what Matt's wishes would be for us. Matt would want us to relish the many joyous memories and deep belly laughs he gave us over the years. Matt would encourage us to chase our goals and work hard to achieve them, but also find a way to have fun and laugh throughout the journey. He would want us to live a life of compassion, integrity, joy, service to others, but try not to take any of it so seriously that you miss the opportunity for a well-timed and probably really inappropriate joke. Matt will forever be a shining example of the person I strive to be. Most people at the end of their lives sit there and wonder if they've made a difference, but Matt doesn't have that problem. Thank you.
And now we'll have a memorial slideshow on each of the screens. If we can lower the lights, please. And thank you to Bobby Arguelles for putting that slideshow together. Great work. At this time, if I could get Captain Cisneros and the Training Academy staff to make their way forward. At this time, the Training Academy staff is going to present Audrey and the kids with Matt's structural firefighting helmet. If I can have Captain Steve Owensby and Captain Dave Lujan and the flight staff make their way up to the stage, please. Master staff, come on up. The members of the Masu staff will present Matt's flight helmet to Audrey and the kids. At this time, I'd like to ask Governor Lujan Grisham to join me on the floor as we present the United States flag and the Department of Bernalillo County Fire and Rescue flag to Audrey and the children. This time I'd like to bring up Deputy Chief Rose, who is the other right hand of mine, to give a Medal of Honor and say a few words.
Good afternoon. So what is honor? Merriam-Webster defines honor as a good name or public esteem. We can check that box. A showing of unusually merited respect. We can check that box. Or one whose worth brings respect or fame. We can check that box. Lieutenant King met all these definitions. He made service to the public his greatest priority and helped whenever he was called to service. He helped out those in need despite the known dangers and did it without hesitation. He was respected by an enormous group of professionals, and with that, I called him and considered him a man of honor. But on July 16th, a catastrophic event occurred. Under extreme and hazardous conditions, and having full knowledge of the imminent risk of life, and without reservation, hesitation, or planning, Lieutenant King performed an act of distinguished and conspicuous heroism above and beyond the call of duty. This was achieved by contacting the state police via cell phone in an effort to summon help for his crew and ensuring help arrived by listening for the state police sirens, and then guiding him to his location before succumbing to his injuries. Therefore, with the approval of Chief Perez and the Bernalillo County Fire Rescue, I bestow our highest award, the Medal of Honor, to Audrey King on behalf of Lieutenant Matt King.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Rose. Next, I'd like to bring forward Vice President, definitely. Audrey, if you could see what I can see from up here, man. At this time, I'd like to bring up Vice President of Local IF 244, Michael Benton, to make a presentation of another medal and axes. They're presenting the Line of Duty Death Medal to Audrey, as well as 2 axes, which are traditional when an individual retires from service. It's something that the union awards them with. Thank you, IFF Local 244. This time, if I can have the division chiefs, led by Chief Valenzuela, please come forward. My division chiefs will be presenting Matt's badge, bugles, and nameplate. At this time, I'd like to invite Captain Matthew Kayward to the stage. Captain Kayward is going to do one of the longest standing traditions within the fire service, and that is the ringing of the bell. He's going to provide us with a brief history before actually making this occur. Captain Kayward.
The fire service of today is ever-changing, but it is also steeped in traditions over 200 years old. One of these great traditions is the sounding of a bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tours of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Throughout the day and throughout the night, each alarm was also sounded by a bell. The bell summoned those brave souls to fight fires and often placed themselves in harm's way for the mission of saving lives and property. Something firefighters all over the world refer to as simply answering the call. When the fire was out or the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of that call. And when a firefighter's life was taken in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced that member's passing. Today in our modern fire service, we utilize these traditions as symbols that reflect honor and respect for those who have given so much and who have served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their call, a special signal of the bell represents the end of a member's duties and that they will be returning to quarters for the final time. If everyone please stand with me as we render the final honors for our brother, Lieutenant Matthew King. As said before in the fire service, before the advent of radios, pagers, and cell phones, fire alarms and daily announcements were dispatched from the department's central headquarters to outlying firehouses by a system of bell commands. Each alarm or announcement had its own number and series of bell strikes. When a firefighter was killed, headquarters would transmit a special signal of 3 rings 3 times each. This custom rendering final honors to departed members is known as the final alarm, or striking the threes. In keeping with this tradition, I ask Chief Perez, the Bernalillo County Fire Department, if he will give the order to sound the final alarm.
Order granted.
Uniform personnel! Until reset off!
You all may be seated. So as we come to the closure of our time together this afternoon, I want to look back and recap some of what we've experienced today. As we opened up, we talked that there would be some sorrow, there'd be some laughter, and a whole lot of other emotions that we all have yet to even probably truly experience. But at the end of the day, the one thing that rings true in everyone who spoke before us this afternoon was Matt's passion for education and Matt's passion for service. And I think if we do nothing else today as we leave this gathering, but to take that to heart, to learn something from this event that we can apply to our lives. Look into ourselves deeply and make sure that we are where we need to be. both personally, professionally, and spiritually, because that is what Matt would want us to do, to find the teachable moment in this. That is what all of these gentlemen would have wanted us to do. They were all educators in their own spirit. Under Sheriff Larry Korn, Lieutenant Fred Bierce, Mike Levinson, gone far too soon, but I can tell you, definitely never forgotten. Again, I thank each and every one of you for coming out and joining us as a department, us as a county, and most importantly, us as a family today. At this time, I'm going to give the okay for a final dispatch for Lieutenant Matt King.
Fire control.
Chief 1, Fire Control.
Chief 1.
Please provide final dispatch for Lieutenant Matthew King.
Fire Control 2, Metro 2. Fire Control 2, Metro 2. Fire Control 2, Lieutenant Matthew King. No response. Fire Control 2, Chief 1. There is no response from Lieutenant Matthew King. Lieutenant Matthew A. King, this is your final dispatch. It is with great sadness that we dispatch Lieutenant Matthew King to his final alarm on August 1st, 2022. Lieutenant King, you started your career as a public servant 20 years ago and with Bernalillo County Fire and Rescue in 2011. During those years, you provided selfless service to the citizens of Bernalillo County and the metro area. We are left with a void that will never be filled nor forgotten. Your joy and laughter will be felt throughout our community of family and friends. Your dedication, passion, and your family sacrifices during your time as a first responder will echo throughout the years, and you will fill our stories as long as there are stories to tell for years to come. On Saturday, July the 16th, 2022, you were tragically taken from your wife, Audrey, your son, Aiden, your daughter, Kyra, family, friends, and the department you served. Lieutenant Matthew King, respond to your final resting place. We will now show you out of service. Lieutenant, you are relieved from duty. We have the watch, and we will take it from here. Rest in peace.
And I have a special song played before the family exits the building. you all please rise.
I have them right here.
Again, on behalf of the King family, Bernalillo County Fire and Rescue, Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department, and our entire county, we cannot begin to thank all of the agencies who have reached out in our time of need and have stepped forward to provide assistance at all costs. So again, thank you all. A very special thank you to Dan Morning and Tingley Coliseum staff who have been absolutely phenomenal. Please go home safely and keep Matt and his family in your thoughts and your prayers. Thank you all.